What's going on YouTube? Super Insane 18 here, and today we are bringing you the Phantom Knight deck profile for the Winda Combo that I showcased in our last video. Let's go ahead and jump on in. Alright, so kicking things off, we have the Burning Abyss package, which is very small. It is just going to be Seer, Graph, and Libic. This is all that you need. It really is just an extender, and you're not really playing BA. They are just to put extra summons on board. Then we have our Danger engine, which we are playing the 3 best Dangers. A lot of people don't actually play the Nessie because it's not a level 3, but the way that I see it is it either gets you into the other 2, or it becomes a free link material for like your Predaplant later in the combo, so I would definitely play it. It's still just free. You either summon and draw or you search, so regardless you get a benefit off of it. Then we have a load of extenders. We have Kagamucha Knight, which is just really good for whenever we normal summon. We play 2 copies of Psychic Tracker and 2 copies of Psychic Wielder. These are just there to be extra summons when you have a 3 because everything is a level 3. Then into our Phantom Knight package, the 2 one-ofs that we play are the Ragged Gloves and the Stained Greaves. These are just really good utility cards, but not ones that you necessarily want to see in your opening. Then we have 2 copies of Ancient Cloak. You don't really need the search as much as you used to now that we have the Torn Scales in the grave. This is really good basically just to search boots, but you can very easily access it with almost everything else in your deck. Then we have 3 copies of Silent Boots. This is arguably the best one, at least the best one behind Torn Scales, because it does let you just freely special summon it, as well as search you any of your traps, which the traps are insanely good in this deck. And then rounding out the Phantom Knight monsters is the 3 Torn Scales. This is the best support that the deck could have asked for, the ability to just get rid of 1 in hand, 2 Foolish 1 from deck. That is essentially a 2-for-1. The discard isn't really a negative, especially if you have something that wants to be discarded in your hand. And then the fact that it can just resummon itself whenever you use any of your built-in effects for Phantom Knights anyway, it's actually just crazy. And rounding out the monsters, we have 3 copies of Ghost Bell. Unfortunately, my 3rd secret is still being borrowed. But if you watched the hand trap video that I made earlier this month, you'll know that I think that this is the single best hand trap for the current format, and if you only have room for 1 hand trap, this is the one that you play. It hits every deck, and it hits every deck hard, so you might as well play this over something else like Ash or Effect Veiler or Droll. I just think Ghost Bell is the best one for the format. Then moving into our one-of spells, we have quite a bit. We have Emergency Teleport to be another extender, Foolish Burial to be another extender, the Instant Fusion that we need for our Predaplant, and then the copy of Reinforcement of the Army. I'll just go ahead and kind of do that so you can see it all. And these are the one-ofs that we play. Pretty much 3 extenders and the Verte Anaconda Food. Moving on to the next spells, we have some consistency cards with 3 Allure of Darkness. Everything that you play is dark except for the Ghost Bell, so being able to just dig through your deck, and the banish doesn't really matter depending on what you see anyway, so drawing 2 is always good. And finally, we have 3 copies of Forbidden Droplet. I am a strong proponent that this is the current best card in the entire Yu-Gi-Oh! Card game. The fact that it does not target and that you can negate things like Dragoons, Appaloosa, Herald of Ultimateness, just, things that otherwise would prevent you from playing. Plus, when you're playing Phantom Knights, you can just discard your Phantom Knight cards for this effect, and you're not losing anything, because then you're just going to use the Phantom Knights in the graveyard, banishing them for their effects, and it essentially just turns into a free multi-negate that cannot be responded to. Then on to our traps, we play 1 copy of Phantom Knight Wings and 1 copy of Shade Brigandine. Shade Brigandine is just the extender, that's really all it needs to be said about that. And the Phantom Knight Wings is just a good protection as well as another Monster Reborn, since the Fogblade is once per turn. Later on in your combo, you can use both this and Fogblade in the same turn just to extend a little bit further, potentially swinging for game. And the final 3 in the main deck that we have are Phantom Knight's Fogblade. These cards are incredible. They are Fiendish Chains that are also Monster Reborns. Being able to just search these and negate monster effects and then later on use them to reborn your monsters to keep pushing and extending is phenomenal. This is a 40-card main deck, which I know is very unusual for Phantom Knights. A lot of Phantom Knight players play much more than 40, usually around 50 to 60, somewhere between that number. And as much as I love Phantom Knights, my hatred for more than 40 cards runs a little bit deeper, so I did try to make this as consistent as I possibly could for the as little amount of cards that it plays. You could bump this up if there are other cards that you want to play, and realistically, it wouldn't necessarily hurt the deck. A couple of the guys at my locals play 50 to 60 cards, and they usually top with it, so it's definitely doable. I just really don't like going over 40 cards. So let's go ahead and jump into the extra deck. Now, for the extra deck, unfortunately, I wasn't able to get my hands on all of the cards, so we are going to have to use our imagination here a little bit. But jumping on in, we do have a copy of El Shadal Winda. This is our preferred Verte Anaconda target over the Dragoons, because I would rather end on less negates, but the ability to prevent my opponent from summoning, rather than having multiple negates with the Dragoons in the Appaloosa play. If you missed that, make sure to watch my last video going over the 2 different combos, and let me know which one you think is better. Then we have 2 copies of Leviair, the Sea Dragon. Unfortunately, this is another card that I just couldn't get my hands on. I couldn't even get my hands on a super, so I do have an ulti on the way, just kind of waiting for that to get here. So pretend that this is a Leviair. This is part of the turn 1 combo. You do go through both of these. Even if you get stopped on your turn 1 and you aren't able to full combo, they are very good utility cards, being able to bring back your Phantom Knights from the Banished. Next, we have 2 copies of Phantom Knight Breaksword. This is really not needing too much discussion. It is a free pop that then, if you use itself to destroy itself, you summon back Phantom Knights and increase their level. It does lock you into darks, but that doesn't really matter. Most of your extra deck is dark anyway, so just really good spot removal. And there is a really nasty combo you can do with the next card, which is Raider's Knight. Now, I don't know why I didn't realize this. Maybe it's because I'm just dumb and I can't read. But Raider's Knight doesn't have to rank up to 1 rank higher. You can rank up down to a rank lower as well. So you can use a Breaksword, pop itself and another card on your opponent's field, use Raider's Knight, rank down into your second Breaksword, and then pop another card your opponent controls. So you just use 2 Phantom Knights to spot clear 2 cards, and you don't even lose out on the Phantom Knights because you're going to be summoning them back anyway. Next is another card we kind of have to pretend. This is supposed to be the Arc Rebellion XYZ Dragon, but I do not have that, and my local game store did not have it as well. So we are just using a Dark Rebellion in its place, but this is supposed to be an Arc Rebellion. That is what you use in tandem with the Raider's Knight to kind of OTK. You make the Arc Rebellion and just swing for loads of damage, and more often than not, it is just going to be game. Next, we have our turn 1 combo package, which is the F-Zero, well, both F-Zeros, the Utopic Future and the Utopic Draco Future. This is actually incredible because this turns you into a monster negate that is also a permanent snatch steal, which lets you link climb in later turns, as well as just potentially clear some very threatening monsters on your opponent's side of the field. But what a lot of people don't realize is that F-Zero Utopic Future also has really good turn 2. Implications as well. This is essentially the Borolo Dragon before the Borolo Dragon, so you can just swing into an opponent's monster and steal it and then go into your Utopic Draco. You don't just need to slap the Draco on top. If you're going turn 2 and your opponent has something that you really need to out, just go for the Utopic Future and then swing into it, steal it, slap the Draco on top, and then use their monster for whatever else you want to use it for. Next, we have the Divine Arsenal Zeus. This is just pretty self-explanatory. If you are in a simplified game state where none of your XYZs necessarily matter, you can just swing and then overlay the Zeus on top, which will allow you to clear the board when your opponent's playing. Enough said there. For the links, we have Link Spider. This is mostly for the Shade Brigadine because the Verte Anaconda needs effect monsters, and if you are required to use the Shade Brigadine, you can just link it away into the Link Spider, but also it lets you play through Nibiru as well. You can turn the Nibiru token into a Link Spider, and that makes it into an effect monster. Next, we have the 1 copy of Cherubini. This is the entire reason that this deck is good, just being able to send a level 3 and then keep the Winda from dying as well. We have our Verte Anaconda as well. This is what lets us make the Winda. Not really much needs to be said there. We have the Phantom Knight of Rusty Bardiche. This helps us kind of later since we don't make it turn 1 in this particular build. So later on in the game we can make it and just kind of cycle through more Phantom Knights that we need if we've run out or if we've banished all of them. It helps us put them in the grave, get more resources. Overall, just a good card. Then it is another destruction if we summon a Dark XYZ to its zone, so pretty good there. And the final card is the Appaloosa. This is the card that we make just so that we can have additional negates. If we get stopped for our turn 1 board with the Winda, usually we can still kind of force our way into an Appaloosa just because of how many extenders are in this deck. And that's going to round out the extra deck for us. And there you guys have it. Hopefully you enjoyed. If you did, make sure to like, comment, subscribe, share with your friends, and make sure that you watch the previous video. Let me know which combo you like better. Do you like the standard combo that ends on Dragoon Appaloosa, or do you think it's a much nastier board to end on the Utopic Draco and the Winda? I personally favor the Winda board, but definitely let me know down below. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you guys next time.